using satellites. Typically, you'll find satellites are used when DSL and cable are not available. Okay, so if you're way out in some rural area that doesn't provide cable, doesn't have DSL, you're too far from a switch, well, satellite, as long as you have line of sight, be able to go up and see into space, well, then you're going to be able to go ahead and get connectivity that way. And then we have wireless, which, this is a borderline, almost not even literally a WAN technology. It kind of is, and we'll talk about it in just a moment when we talk about VPNs. But wireless is used primarily by your mobile users, either connecting through what's called Wi-Fi hotspots, which is not necessarily technically wireless. I mean, yeah, maybe a user takes their laptop, it goes into a hotspot, and they have wireless connection to their network, but that network doesn't necessarily have wireless connectivity to the internet. Or through the cellular phone network, where you do have something closer to a wireless connection. So those are your WAN technologies. And I will tell you before we go any further, if you are feeling like, wait a minute, I still don't feel like I have this solid understanding of what all these are. It's like you just gave me basic definitions. Well, that's right. You don't. And that's okay. You just need to know the basic concepts of each of these WAN technologies so that you, as a network administrator, if you are tasked with the duty of connecting your network to some other network in a different location or to the internet, you will know some of the options that are available to you. And I will tell you that these options are always changing, and you're going to need to talk to a third-party telecommunications carrier about what they have to offer and how much things cost and what the throughput's actually going to be. And that's where you need to put your focuses when it comes to WAN technologies, is you need to look at the needs of your business and weigh that against the cost, and then be able to have an educated conversation with a telecommunications expert and make a decision on what technology to use. All right, now moving along with more of the logical topology side of things, we need to talk about VPNs. What is a VPN? Well, VPN stands for Virtual Private Network, and it means just that. It means that virtually somebody away from the office who's not at the local network can connect and virtually be part of that private network. VPNs allow your traveling users to connect back to your local network while they're not in the office. Users remotely connect to a VPN server, which you'll have to have in place at the office, over a standard internet connection. Now, because it's over a standard internet connection, that doesn't sound very secure, right? Matter of fact, here in the drawing, what we have our office network, right? And the office is connected to the internet. So an example of where VPNs are used might be for somebody who works from home or somebody who's traveling using their laptop, and maybe they're on one of those Wi-Fi internet connections. Well, that's what we mean by standard internet connections. But the problem is as you go through this internet cloud here, it's not very secure, is it? And how is this part of your private network? Well, VPN connections are secured by using what's called a tunneling protocol. So basically, a tunnel is created from wherever the local user is through the internet to your local network, thus making it virtually private. Now, in case you're confused about this whole concept of creating a tunnel, because a lot of people try to picture that. They go, what do you mean make a tunnel? There's an actual shielded tunnel through the World Wide Web, through the internet? What is that? No, the tunnel is created through encryption. And we will talk about VPN encryption protocols later on in this course. So the last thing we have here is the VLAN. VLAN stands for Virtual LAN, or Virtual Local Area Network, if you want to spell it all the way out. Now, there are two ways of looking at a VLAN, and this is something that actually makes it kind of confusing. One way of looking at it is you might have one physical segment, okay, so one physical chunk of computers, meaning they're all connected on one cable through one device, right? If it's like a star topology, they can all be connected through one device. And by the way, that device, in the case of a VLAN, instead of being a hub, it more typically would be called a switch. A switch, again, is something we will talk about in more detail later on. But you have the one physical segment divided logically into two or more logical segments. Okay, so even though they're all connected together physically, the cable makes them all so they could talk to each other. Logically, you can divide them into separate segments so they don't really know about each other. Now, the other way of looking at it is the exact opposite, where you can have multiple physical segments. Matter of fact, those multiple physical segments could be in different cities. You might have different offices. But you can logically make them act as though they are on the same segment or the same local area network. Now again, VLANs is something that we will talk about later on in the course. Pretty much when we talk about switches, that's when we'll talk about VLANs. But for right now, just the general idea, this is all part of your network topology. Your network topology may be something as simple as this, a local network with a star, bus, ring, whatever. But part of the logical aspect of your topology might include users who work at home or are out on the road, and they are connecting via a VPN, so they're part of your network topology. And then we have the VLAN, which is where we logically change the topology from the way it's physically put into place. All right, well, that's pretty much what I have for you right now on network topologies. So we talked about the bus, the star, the ring, and the mesh topologies. We took a look at taking multiple topologies, putting them together, and making them hybrid topologies. We took a look at some of our WAN technologies, and we saw a high-level overview of some of the ones that are available to you. And then we saw how to logically change our network topology through the use of VPNs and VLANs. All right, well, that's it for this video. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.